All right. Well, hello and welcome to Audionautic Radio Beyond Genre, Episode 2. This is our monthly radio show where we bring you everything from our community. We want to showcase the amazing music that comes from our community. And today we've got quite a lot of really cool tracks. My name is Sunwarper, and with me today is Curtis. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's a busy week. But
Yeah,
it's
I hear
always
you.
a busy week, isn't it? It's always a busy week. How are you getting on, man?
All right, man. It's been completely chaos here. They're just nuts. I had to do a live stream beforehand, and that went well, but it's just been chaos. It's just been chaos here.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on, lots of good, lots of bad. So just got to kind of manage it and deal with it. But I'm happy to be here. I'm ready to listen to some good tunes. And yeah. So anything else before we get started, or do you want to start with the first track?
We got a lot of good tracks going on this week. Some really great submissions coming in. For those, it's a new concept. For those who don't know what this is our community radio show where we are showcasing and playing tunes from the community. If you want to get involved, send us an MP3 to audionauticsounds@gmail.com. At some point, we'll make an overlay to make that pop up on the screen. But yeah, whatever track it is, this is a show where we try to go beyond genre and we try to go beyond, hence the name. We try not to pigeonhole ourselves into like ambient or into drum and bass or whatever genre. We tend to like it as long as it's independent and electronically based. That's kind of what we do. So yeah, we got a wealth of great stuff from the community this week. And if you stay to the end, we do have a little tease as to what's coming on Audionautic Records in the next week or so. It's on Wednesday.
Yes, very excited about that. Also in the chat, we've got Eonlake and Little Bro, the tag team. Yeah, what's going on? How are you guys? Let us know. But yeah, so without any further ado, let's get started. So we're gonna start with a label mate, FCC. Awesome Boards of Canada-ish style, but in the last EP, which is one of the songs we'll be playing from, he branched off a little bit, tried some ambient, some really cool stuff. I love that EP, and if you check out our Discord, you'll hear he's been posting some bangers of drum and bass lately in the works in progress. So very exciting stuff. Looking forward to hearing more from that. He wants to collab, so we'll see. Maybe we can do like a Triforce collab of Curtis, Sunwarper, and FCC, because Curtis, I know, can do some pretty cool drum and bass. I've heard it. I remember that those stems I sent you that one time. You were making some crazy drum and bass. So I don't know why we're all in this drum and bass space lately, but I like it. I dig it.
It's all about that bass. It's all about that drum and bass and all about that bass. Yeah. Fantastic work from Somewhere Boy, which is the latest release. This is a track from it. This is the last track on the EP, I believe, entitled Anywhere. So without much further ado, here we go.
Here we go. Let's see. Is it not wanting to play? It says it's playing. There it is. You hearing it?
You hearing it?
I hear something.
Yeah, I hear it.
I don't hear ambient. I just hear like, I can't remember if that's part of the track. It's just like clicky noise. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
There we go.
And here's his lovely Bandcamp. we're going to fade that one out. That was actually Anywhere from FCC, from the EP Somewhere Boy. Lovely, lovely album, or EP, I should say. But tried something really different with that EP. Slower, more ambient, like Eonlake was saying, like rotational. Where was it? I shared it, but slow rotational quality. Yeah, the last track brings all the typical FCC vibes to it. But I love that EP. I love seeing him and seeing artists explore. They start with the vibe, start with the sound, and then kind of branch out of that and see where they can go.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's interesting that you, it's like you just had on your live stream about the notion of where do you start with your samples and stuff like that, or where do you start with when you're making music, is it with the drums and the sample? And how FCC runs around with that TAL sampler.
Yeah.
It's quite beautiful the way he kind of puts that together. It's very unique in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. I know he did a deep dive on that TAL sampler on an Audionautic, and I was fascinated by everything he was doing with it. The sound he starts with is like nothing. Like when I listen to his synths, I'm like, oh, he must have programmed a synth, and then he showed, it's this like loop he got, and he chops a segment and finds out. It really, like in that live stream today, I was inspired by that to do that type of thing where I chopped just a chord from our Discord challenge, one of the pad from our Discord challenge. I chopped just one chord, put it in chromatic mode, made a chord progression from that, and then just did all those like little one note things. The bass line, I took one note from the bass part of the sample challenge and put that, in chromatic mode. It's a lot of fun to do it that way. And that I got from FCC.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the community teaching the community in that sense.
Yeah.
Which is always great to see. It's the wonderful thing about the community, really, isn't it? It's the fact that, everyone's got something to offer and there's no competitive outlet to it. It's just about a safe space where people can share ideas and learn and grow from each other. That's dope that you learned that from FCC in that sense.
Yeah definitely. Yeah, I love his music. So when I saw him explain it, I was like, I would love to try that TAL sampler at some point too. That thing looks pretty cool.
It does. Not too expensive either. We just have to get around to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who do we have up next, brother?
Up next, we've got, I keep hitting the wrong button, but we've got to the docket. But we've got our Audionautic co-host, Eonlake. This is an awesome album from Eonlake. And he didn't want to use this track as the lead single, but I did. And I was like, we're doing it, man. And then it got on the radios. Everybody was playing that song. So I was like, see, I really love it. And it's also the shortest song on the album, I think. If not, it's one of, if not the shortest. So, I was like, we should do that one. But that's not why I said we should do it. But I did. It was a subconscious part of it was, hey, it's a shorter track.
I mean, that makes sense. I am looking at it for the Bandcamp up here now. Yeah. 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 4 minutes, 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, and 6 minutes. It's very much a space of, and I love it in that sense. It's it's the long, slowly evolving maximalist sound. So, as far as the whole album is banger, it's just from end to beginning to end. It's just banger after banger.
And let's just take a moment, though. Let's just take a moment to look in awe of that artwork, if we can.
I'll let you take that.
It's stunning, dude. It's stunning. I love that you two worked together on that. You compiled. We talked about it in an ADSM, but compiled all of those different photos together, AI images and stuff. And see, this is even more interesting. Eonlake said it's unusually brief for me. Yeah, I was shocked at the timing. But he says, and SP404 heavy. So that must have also been another subconscious. I just heard the SP without knowing it. I had no idea. But my ears were like, is that SP I hear? And yes, I agree. We all love the art. It's great. It's awesome. It's really cool. Anyways, without further ado, if I can find the track here, Eonlake Spiralism off of Beyond Polarities. Let's go for it. right. That was Eonlake Spiralism. What do you think?
Hard cut that time. Went for the hard
Yeah,
cut.
it didn't allow for a fade. StreamYard being
Didn't
StreamYard, just like I was fading it, and it's like, no, you can't fade it. So I had to just put it to 0, and then it took it. So StreamYard, man, no mixer, no nothing.
no, nothing.
You can't even see the times. I have to look at the clock, set timers and stuff. They don't show the track duration, nothing. Just a volume knob that actually doesn't knob.
I mean, it is the. I mean, either we're pushing the boundaries of what we're meant to be doing with the world and with podcasting, or we're just on the wrong platform. Maybe someone watching back can let us know. Is there a better way of doing this? We are coming up to term, so we'll have to see. But anyway, more to the point, absolutely beautiful piece there from Eonlake in its own right. An absolute, what's the phrase? A beautiful example of how to create structure and how to create a sense of ebb and flow within the track. That's even before we start talking about the sounds that are inside, which, I mean, obviously you can talk about, but just the song itself, the structure, an instrumental electronic track, it's just beautiful.
I hear you, and I love that you pointed it out, but the way it like starts to drop out and then everything comes back in, really cool. And in terms of instrumentation, I just loved the sounds in it. Like that little lead has such a I don't even know how to describe it, but that lead is fascinating. I don't know, is that lead Eonlake, is that a modular thing, or is that something else? Because that was so I love that. I remember when I heard the song when I was mastering it, I was like, oh yeah, it's got oomph. It reminds me kind of like Boards of Canada, but not. It's like that trip hoppy, like that IDM trip hop. That it's not like Boards of Canada like sound, but it's very trip hop. Sub 37 Eonlake says awesome. Yeah. This is an interesting statement from Little Bro as well that I want to share. I actually think music is better without lyrics. I have an explanation. The reason it is decreasing the quality of the song is because the artist has to think about lyrics whilst making it, which will put him off. So yeah, interesting. I go back and forth because I mean I grew up on lyrics, right? You know, vocal songs and stuff, but then I became engrossed in instrumental music. But I like both, and I think there's something too about the human voice that resonates like subconsciously or psychoacoustically with the ear.
I think you're right in that regard. And I mean,
vocals specifically, you could take like oohs and ahs that you pitch into chords and stuff, right? You know, there's just something about that human voice that is familiar, I guess, to our ears.
Yeah, I mean, I think there seems to be for want of a better phrase, a completeness that when lyrics come in. I don't know if that's just what we've been conditioned to kind of bring up with, but you can, like you say, you can create it with a lead line or with some repitched chords or something like that, perfectly fine. But when you bring in a human element or just a human voice box, whatever they're doing, be it lyrics or oohs and ahs and stuff like that, it does add another quality, which in isolation is majestic in that regard. But I understand where Little Bro is coming from. It's almost like it's not giving you a narrative, it's not giving you a story, it's your imagination is the only limitation in that regard, which is very significant.
No, I get that. And I think also just speaking how voice is like subconscious, it's almost kind of like cheating in a way that the ear resonates with it quickly, so it makes sense. But an instrumental that tugs at your heartstrings means something. You got to really be doing something right. So I get it. I agree. I think both make total sense, but I get what they're saying. And yeah, I could see an argument being made that I'm not saying I necessarily agree, but like, oh yeah, instrumental music, you have to really work harder to get it to like emotionally resonate, because you don't have that kind of instant, oh, there's a voice. Okay, I can, not like making music in general is easy. Like, oh, if you just throw a voice on, it's easy, but there's something to be said, I think, there.
I think you're completely correct in that regard. So yeah, we can go back and forth on this in a long time. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all personal taste. Isn't it? It's all personal taste, and there is no right, there is no wrong. There just is. So what have we got coming up next, or should you read?
I'll let you intro that one, but I did have to change the song. It's not the second track; it's the title track of the.
So you've gone for this one, yeah? I caught that this morning.
Okay, cool, yeah, because I could not make an MP3 in enough time, so I was like, does one of these fit the 30 MB submission thing? And sure enough, the title track did. So Anyways, I'll let you carry on to introduce it.
Well, maybe that. Yeah, this is a great one. So this is your latest release, a beautiful little EP, which did come out on vinyl. This is Golden Hour, which how do you feel about it? It's been out for what, 2 weeks now? So how are you feeling about it?
Good. I mean, not good that Kunaki completely screwed us with the vinyl release, as we talked about in ADSN, but it was really cool. The vinyl itself is really cool. Like, I was stoked on the quality of it and stuff. And it was just a really, I don't have a lot of time to make music anymore. So this was experimenting with these new workflows that take a lot, I don't want to say a lot less time. It's not a lot less effort, but to actually get into create, it's like use a dedicated piece of hardware, make it on there, stem split if you need to in the DAW to like fix it and stuff. So it was just testing out new workflows. And like Golden Hour is all sample based, and then Celestial Currents, the ambient track, is all sounds I created from nothing on the SP404 with the sound generator. So two very different approaches, but it's weird, but I feel like they came together despite one being like a lo-fi beat and one being the ambient thing. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
I think it's great. I mean, it's very much one for the journey in that regard. Like you say, you're trying out new workflows. The workflow that you once had is of a somewhat of a time who had perhaps more time on his hands to make stuff, and this is a new way of functioning that in that regard. And to come in with one for the journey, which doesn't diminish anything other than the fact that this is an experiment for you, and it's come out really nicely in that regard, and it's a beautiful release. So yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. Shall we have a listen?
And this one's only like 2 minutes long, so we don't need a timer. We'll just let it. Okay. No hard ending. Sorry, Eonlake. That was I've been trying to fade him out. It did not want to cooperate. So, but if you want to hear Eonlake's song in all of its glory, the Bandcamp's in the chat, and I think it's in the description. If not, it will be after. All right, here's Golden Hour. Quiet. Let me raise that up. See, I did a fade out in the track.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, but then it got ruined because it's set to loop. I jinxed myself. There we go. I jinxed myself.
Close as ever. Wonderfully playful little track full of whimsy. I think
whimsy. I love that term. Yeah,
whimsy. Yeah, it's playful, and it's just. I imagine that's kind of without trying to put words in your mouth or anything like that. I imagine it's kind of what this is in a way. You're playing around. You're working out a new workflow and how you can navigate being a producer while also being a new husband and a new dad. So I feel like that comes through in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just like, the main strings are from session players in Logic. So just seeing what I could do flipping those. And then the drums were a sample I chopped into one shots and put that. And I love Eonlake, but love the flat dead drums. No need for towels on them. I had issues with those drums, though, because the hi-hat, because I made it with these headphones, and the headphones don't have a lot of high end. So it's like deceptive that you think you need more hi-hats. So I recorded the jam, and when I listened to it, It's like the hi-hats are way too loud. So I stem split the high end of the drums with the low end, dropped the high end like a ton. I just did like all this stuff to it. But I finally got it using some transient shapers and volume changes and stuff like that to sit at least where I was happy with. But the snare, I felt like lost some of its high end character because it got kind of caught in the middle between these two. But it worked because like then I was just like, yeah, it's like dead drums, like that real flat, you know, just like kind of there. But yeah,
I get that. Hi-hats, I don't know. When you talk about that, I'm thinking about my own struggles with the hi-hats, and it is a pain.
Good.
It is it's you never know. Like, it's such a sensitive frequency range that, you know, 1 minute it's too quiet, the next minute it's far too loud, the next minute it's been belting. It is a tough one, isn't it?
It's
and
a
it
nightmare,
depends.
dude.
It is, especially if you're on headphones, if you're on monitors, if you're in the car, whatever you're doing. And it's just
phone speakers. Oh my god, dude, forget about it. The phone speaker, everything's just hi-hat on phone speakers.
They're a pain in the absolute jacksy.
Dude.
I feel your pain in that. I feel your pain.
Yeah, we get through it. At least I know if Eonlake thinks the hats are fine, then I trust him completely because he's my hi-hat expert. If I have hi-hat issues, I'm like, how are the hats, dude? He's who I go to. What's up next? Exactly. What have we got?
Well, we've got one from latest release out on our friends over at Shady Records.
Yes.
Josh is doing such a good job over there, creating some beautiful, beautiful merch. And this next one is Iridescent Forever by Human Concept. Came out last week. You made the choice for this one, All the Light That There Ever Was. Again, beautiful artwork. But what made you choose this track?
Okay, so there's a legitimate reason and there's a producer reason. Which do you want first? The producer reason, it was shorter. But there were other short songs, but they're all really good. This album's quite the journey. I have to say, I absolutely love the artwork. Like when he posted it on Instagram, I was like, I have to listen to this track or this album, which goes to show you the power, at least over my mind, of artwork, but probably a lot of people's. But I love the colors, the vivid imagery, and then you read about what went behind the creation of this album, and it all kind of starts to click. But speaking of that, because the album is meant to be a bit of a journey, this song is quite a bit of a journey. It starts in one place and goes very different in just like 3 minutes and something seconds or something. So really cool track. That's the real reason, is it's a very interesting track in terms of structure, in terms of sequence, journey, narrative, like all of that. That's why I really wanted to highlight that one.
Fair play. Well, let's have a listen. We'll talk more after.
Yeah, let's do it. Awesome, right? Sorry, I had
Yeah.
to mute it so that it wouldn't come through, but yeah. That piano, dude, and then the snares. Crazy.
It goes to show that you know, there's always those memes and those jokes about finding good snares and how the snares are always difficult to kind of produce in their own right? But
Yeah.
it does prove that it's worth the effort, because when you find one that works in that regard, when you find a decent snare, it can really elevate everything. And it is just that crack on the 2 and 4, which really helps in that regard.
Yeah, there's a really interesting like reverb or something to it too that just like lets it ring out. Very awesome.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Well, what have we got next? You brought this. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say just the use of ear candy.
Yep.
You don't have it. You know, it's a very. We often get stuck in loops, especially with what we're doing, and utilizing ear candy in that way is a great way of going through that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that's what I mean by like you listen to that journey. Well, first of all, it starts with like a drone. You think it's going to be ambient. The piano comes in. It's very melancholic but lovely. And then like, oh, these crazy snares and this kick are going to just like take you on a journey. But yeah, there's all this other sounds coming through and things that don't start on the one. Like, you know, there's that little like gated synth and then that melody that comes in and all that. Very interesting. But yeah, that's Human Concept, right? From Shady Ridge Records. Out. I think it came out last week, the week before, but awesome stuff. I highly recommend checking it out. But you brought this next one to the table. So want to tell us a little bit about this one, Curtis?
Yeah, this is Jupiter, who is an ambient aficionado based in London. It's been a minute. He's one of those. He does a lot of different things and he works in different realms, and doesn't release very often. But when he does release, it's gold. And this is from his new EP Nights, which is well, this song is called Plus Puzzle. We'll listen to it and then we can chat about it a little bit more. But yeah,
Sounds
it's always
good.
nice
Let's
to
do
hear
it.
when Dupes does something new.
Definitely. All right, here is the track. You got the artwork there, Curtis?
Yeah, coming in now.
Nice. interesting ending there.
It just
In a very
wants
good
to
way.
keep going, don't you? Yeah. He just
No,
wants to keep going
it like
into
changes
oblivion.
the vibe completely, and then it's like, oh, where's it going? And then it just fades. Very cool.
Exactly. It's beautiful. He's always what gets me is his use of the low end and the bass, or the absence of it. For so long, he creates these wonderful textures, and it's so curious as to know how he makes his textures. I'm assuming, I know he has a microcosm, so I'm assuming there's some analog stuff in there. But how he creates and he layers all these textures, and then you forget about anything else, and then he whacks you completely with a nice thick low end, and it just envelops your entire soul, I feel.
I like that description. Yeah, I don't have anything more to add to that. That's an eloquent way to put it, but I do want to add that guitar sounds like a twangy Telecaster, which I thought was really interesting on top of all these very like low mid-rangey loops and stuff. There's this very twangy prominent guitar that's like, oh, there's even some notes part that kind of give me like a country-esque vibe, like the little pull-ons and hammer-ons and stuff. And I'm like, oh, very interesting. It's a very interesting use of that type of like sound, and then mix it with probably a microcosm or whatever the effect is that's causing that, as little bro was saying, like the infinite echoes and stuff like that. Very interesting use of guitar on top of it.
Completely. Yeah, always fun to hear from Jupiter. Hope he's doing well. Who have we got next, Sunwarper?
You, my friend. I was gonna lead into it, but we've got you. So we've got Needles from Curtis, which remind me, it's been a minute. Which album is this off of? Is it Ebbs Flows or is it the one before it?
It's Philomath, the first
Yeah.
album, the one before Episodes and Solos. Yeah, came back to this one. I've been building DJ sets, and this keeps popping up as one that is a strong contender for DJ because it works quite nicely.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I think I usually put that in like lo-fi playlists of ours. Needles, I think, is the one. But yeah,
okay, yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So yeah,
anything you want to add about it before we play it?
First track, not sure I've ever made something quite as vulnerable up until the stuff that I'm making now, and I'm exploring vulnerability. So I like this one in that regard.
All right, well, let's hear it.
Everybody's scared of something. Working through our fears, conquering those, how we get better. So, I want you to tell me, what scares you?
Oh, that's lovely, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to mention. The drums at the end, the panned one, is that a loop or did you program that? There's one pan to the right, like slightly.
Just here, right?
Yeah.
It's a loop that I built with a what's it called? Like an Android version of it's an Android drum machine essentially. And you just kind of key it in and then you sequence it like back in the early days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically a loop that just keeps on going round and round and round and round and round.
Interesting. I also really like the it's like a very calm song, but then there's that like LFO wobblery that you have that's like leading into the that's acting as a transition into like the drop. And then that drum loop comes in, and then you have a couple other things. Very cool. I like that. And then the guitar is just, yeah. And the bass, I love the slides in the bass that like whoom at the start.
That is that Volca. That's that Volca.
Is that the Volca with like glide or something? I thought that was you playing a bass.
No.
Which Volca is that? The Volca bass?
Yeah.
It's got some nice glide to it, man. Were you playing the stupid little keys?
Yeah.
On the Volca, these? Yeah, hold on. It's covered in wires, but these stupid little keys.
Yeah.
Just so you can see, they're not three-dimensional. They're literally like a flat, what is it, ribbon or what? You know, like, I love the Volcas, but it's the worst keyboard. Besides maybe that Duophonic, that's like the precursor to that. That's way smaller. You have to use like a pen just to play anything on it. That's awesome though, dude. I seriously thought that was you playing the bass.
No, as much as I would like to, I didn't have a bass back then. It just used to sit on top of this, and it just that whole thing. That Volca is really good for that sound, and I always found like it's over there. I've been trying. It's in the sketch station right now, which is in a bit of a shambles currently, and it's there, and it's currently plugged into the MIDI for this. This sometimes sits over there, and I can play it through there. Because it's jangly, right? Doing that is jangly, and I don't like doing it anymore. The sound, the warm organic tones come from it. I haven't, even with this monologue, which is built for bass and leads, I haven't found anything quite so smooth and quite so lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's the Volca bass, right? Because there's the bass, there's the synth or whatever it's called. There's the FM, which I have. They made that modular one. This is the FM. There's the drum, and then there's the kick, which is like just a dedicated kick. Like, really? Yeah. I don't know. That seems a little what's it called? Just underwhelming. It's a kick. I'm sure it can do some really cool stuff. But yeah.
I'd like
Little Bro says, I'm getting a submission ready. Awesome. Yeah. We do these once a month, so send it over whenever. Audionauticsounds@gmail.com. Sorry, Curtis, you were saying.
No, I think it's a good time to actually bring in this notion of this. We're coming to the last track of the show, and if you are watching to this point, thank you very much. If you're watching back on it, if you want to have a track, we play 5 minutes of a track once a month, and submit your MP3. Please make it an MP3 to audionauticsounds@gmail.com. The reason MP3 is just because when we put it up through StreamYard, which is the best way to listen, it can't take WAV. And it saves us a conversion rate. And so
we just don't have time to do the conversion, so it's on you. If you want your song played, send it to us as an MP3.
Exactly. But yes, which leads us nicely into our last piece of this month's show, and this is a little preview for what is coming out on Audionautic Records on Wednesday, and you'll be able to hear it if you're a patron. Patreon.com/audionautic. You'll hear it from Monday. But yeah, this is a new release coming out from Bendu. Quite the journey in its own right, if I may do say so myself. Wonderful creation here from Bendu, and some fantastic artwork. We are so blessed on this label to have some great artwork.
Yeah, and Bendu next week will be doing a special ADSN because calendars didn't allow us to meet live for it. So we've done a pre-recorded interview with him, an artist interview, all about this record, all about the artwork. Here's the artwork, but the process of creating the tracks, because he has a very interesting workflow, very interesting the way he starts in one place and it ends in a completely different spot, integrating hardware, software, kind of in this very unique hybrid setup that he's doing. So we talk all about that. We'll be in the chat. We're going to do it as a premiere because it's a good long episode with him. So it'll be a special for Audionautic Deep Space Network. And yeah, without anything further, let's listen to the song and then we'll talk about it. So this is Bendu Motorbike.
Come a time when you'll fall in love. Like all love affairs, it'll need careful handling. Just first, true love never runs smooth.
There we go. That's Bendu Motorbike off the upcoming album Wool Gathering. We're releasing this on Wednesday and then on streaming on Friday. I'm very excited to have Bendu joining the label, but I love a lot of his tracks have this like almost early library sound to it. It reminds me of that hauntology stuff, like off I say Ghost Box, that one label, but there's like this happy vibe to it, but teeming under the surface is this like, you know, darker sentiment to it or something. Like there's always something darker to it in a very interesting play on like the chord progressions and the sounds going on. Like, oh, it would sound all happy, but there's this little drone going on underneath that's like, you know, a little dissonant that's like offsetting in an interesting way. It's very brilliantly created and like emotionally crafted. You there?
Yes,
you cut out for a second.
But yes, I agree with everything you're saying. Like you say, there's that playfulness and there's the joy and there's everything in there in that regard. But then there's just that undercurrent of not everything's okay.
Yeah, there's like sense. Unsettled is probably the word I'm looking for. Unsettled, you know, something like unsettling to it, but it's on the surface. It's like, oh yeah, here's some happy, you know, like music, you know.
Yeah. And it's the whole album is an absolute journey in that regard, and it's very Bendu. If you were a fan of Sagittarius, if you're a fan of Portalin, for example, that he released on Sunwarper a few years ago, this does not disappoint. This is the first time we would have heard it outside of the walls of the Audionautic production room, so to speak. But yeah, comes out on Wednesday. We'll drop it on Bandcamp, then it'll be on streamers a couple of days after that. It's going to be good. It's going to be big. Bendu is another one of those. Doesn't release often, but releases just quality content all the time. And it's a wonderful little journey. So go check it out and show your support when it comes.
Yeah, it's bendu.bandcamp.com, or you can find it on audionauticrecords.bandcamp.com. And yeah, it'll be there. Again, we're stoked to have Bendu join the Audionautic Records label, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a really cool album. So yeah, here Curtis was able to put it in the chat. All right. Well, with that, we wrap up another Beyond Genre Radio. This is episode 2. So we're growing this. We can only do this with your support. This is an undertaking we're doing out of love for the community and to share what's going on with the community. So tune in, help share it on your social media. We post about it on the Discord. Join the Discord, submit music to this. But yeah, we can only do this with your support. So you can also join us on patreon.com/audionautic, or send a one-time donation to PayPal. The links are all in the description. We are running a bit of a what do we want to call it? Crowdfunding thing to start creating physicals again, due to the changing landscape for creating short, small rounds or boutique CD physicals and things like that. So yeah, your support means the world. It allows us to do this. But with that, Curtis, anything else you want to add?
Just thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning in, be a part of the community. This is our community showcase. We do it once a month. We'd like to do it more. So yeah, thank you ever so much. Spread the word. This is still a new concept, and it runs on submissions. So once again, if you want your track played, send it over MP3 to audionauticsounds@gmail.com.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we'll be back next month. We'll post it. But before we go, I just want to mention our Discord challenge is running. We've got this one was voted on by everyone in Audionautic Deep Space Network, that we're all flipping the same sample. I made a 8-bar loop of drums, bass, and pads using session players. So when I say I did do tweaking, but AI made some of it. And then I added effects and tweaked it and all that type of stuff. But it's going to be really interesting to hear what everybody creates out of it. That listening party will be on September 25th, right, Curtis? I think it's an hour before Audionautic Deep Space Network, ADSN, which goes on at 11. It will be on Discord in the voice hangout, but you can put your submissions anytime before then in the submissions channel. And then if you want to talk about other people's submissions, there's the discussion channel for it. I think they're both named Server Challenge and then Submission and Discussion. This just makes it easier when we go live to share it. We only have the submissions. We don't have to go through all the different discussions and stuff, because it's awesome. Everybody wants to discuss all that stuff. So yeah, head over to our Discord. Link is in the description. Grab those samples, make something with it. You can use a granular second of just one of the samples. You can use all of the samples. Do whatever you want. The goal here is to have fun, work out of our comfort zones, and see how different, because of all of our subjective experiences and how we make music, how different we can all make one single sample sound like. It'll be really cool. So yeah, September 25th is the deadline, and that's our listening party at 10 a.m. Pacific, which I think is 6 p.m. UTC.
Currently, yeah.
Currently, who knows what the, oh man, don't get me thinking about time change. Is a time change coming up? I think it is, isn't it?
It'll be in October. We've got to go through the wibbly wobbly time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's after this.
It'll be after this. But we are still on summertime right now. So, for example, ADSN is at 6 p.m. UTC currently, which means that the listening party will be at 5 p.m. UTC. Well,
I'll tell you what, just look at our Discord before we go live, and you'll know the times, because I'll make an event on the Discord so that you can just hit yes, I want to be notified when this happens, and then we're good to go. So yeah, awesome hanging out with you all. Great to listen to some music. Awesome submissions, everybody. Curtis, anything you want to add before we go?
No, just thank you ever so much. It's always a lot of fun. We'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, with that, that's Beyond Genre episode 2. Thanks to everybody who submitted a track, and we look forward to hearing everybody who submits for the next one. We'll have a date soon, but yeah, it'll be in October. And with that, we'll see you next time.